Well, hello. It's been a while since I've done one of these driving videos, and I thought I'd give you just a little bit of an update. So this is one of those talky videos where maybe I don't say very much. And anyway, I have not been out of my little town since December 24th. I remember it. That was the trip I took up to or down to Ekalaka and Medicine Rocks over in Montana. So I really have just not been out much. I mean, before that, I hadn't been out much. So Easter weekend, I decided to, on Sunday, drive down to Lead, South Dakota, in the Black Hills. And then I had some plans for Monday, which is when this was filmed. But weather reports made me change my mind and head home. But I did get this little bit in. So right now, I'm in Spearfish, South Dakota. We won't talk about the convoluted route that led me from Lead to Spearfish and back to Lead, but that's what happened. I filmed a video which you'll find the link down in my description, where I toured Spearfish Canyon. You'll see me pull off a lot for no apparent reason. Well, what I did is I was pulling off and filming some video, and I put it together into an entry for Nimmin is doing a... Anyway, it's a channel that wants video about what does it mean to be a creator. In this weather, of course, I didn't travel very far on foot just because it's cold and there's snow everywhere I wanted to walk. So, yeah, I stayed pretty close to the road, except for one spot where you'll see me pull off. But I'm including this part because Spearfish is a town I haven't really explored on any of these videos, and I feel like I should. I didn't this time either. But it's a fairly sizable town, and I really like the main street in Spearfish, and I know it's just kind of a cool town and a cool location. And you can see why a lot of tourists and other people like to visit there. So I will set that as a goal for this summer. In fact, one of my goals this summer is just to get out and do a lot more traveling and visit more places and get out of my small town more often. And maybe it'll take the hunger off during the school year to do so much traveling, because it's so hard to travel during the school year anyway. I end up with work obligations on way too many weekends, and I just can't get away. So, that's the life of a teacher, and I knew that going into this career, that your free time isn't really free time. Spearfish has a fairly decent main street. It also has a lot of outlying businesses. I was at one of them getting my oil changed because, well, it's easier to get in there than it is to get my oil changed in my own town when I'm working, for reasons that I'd rather not get into because that's a long story. But I pulled off here. I'm actually looking at getting a new bicycle. The bicycle I have, I bought back in high school. A mountain bike. I had ambitions of mountain biking. Well, that never happened. And it's 20-some years old. And is it 25 years old? I want to say yes. At least 25 years old, possibly more. Anyway, so I'm thinking about replacing it. The chain derails almost every time I ride it, and right now it's bent from the last derailment, and so it clicks every time I pedal, and it's just kind of... So I feel like I would ride bike more often if I had a better bike. So I was looking at them. I haven't bought a bicycle or really looked at their prices in 25 years, so there was a little bit of sticker shock there. Let's just say that Aurora 88 I bought maybe puts me a little bit in the mood for a bicycle when I put it all in perspective and say, oh yeah, you spent that on a pen. Why not a bicycle? So, yeah, put it in that perspective. I just kind of want to get in better shape and lose a little bit of weight and so on. So, yeah, bicycle would be a good thing. And I can see, as part of my traveling to more places, maybe taking the bike along. So, we'll see. Spearfish Canyon, which you're about to see, is one of those places where a bike would be kind of fun. I'm not a long distance rider. I just feel like if I'm going 100 miles or something, that's what cars were invented for. But it's fun to ride a few miles on a bicycle and spend an hour or so on the bike, and that's kind of my vision. And to ride bike around town, go grocery shopping on the bike, and hang the groceries on the handlebars on the way home. I paused here because nobody was behind me. I wanted to plug in my music. I was running the iPad through the tape deck in my car, and I just had unplugged everything when I was getting my oil changed, and so that's why we're still sitting here awkwardly. I'm showing you this part just so you get an idea. If you ever visit Spearfish, how to get to the Spearfish Canyon. This particular part of the route isn't that scenic. But I know that when the first time I came to Spearfish, I drove right past the entrance to Spearfish Canyon and did not even notice it. It took turning around twice, then looking at the map to realize that, oh, that was it? Yeah. It's just not an obvious entrance like normal tourist spots would do, with big signs and everything saying, Spearfish Canyon is right here! I'm okay with that. I mean, it's not that hard to find once you realize, but it's just kind of a little bit different, I guess. I don't know where I was headed with that. So let's talk about what I've been doing on my weekends instead of driving to places. Some weekends I've actually had free. I've even had a spring break and things, but snow gets in the way of those weekends. It just seems every one of them there was weather that prevented my traveling. And then the other weekends, of course, I had Science Olympiad, which entails Saturday practices, and here it is so far away from everything that once you give up your morning on Saturday, you don't really have a whole lot of time left to go somewhere. So then I wouldn't. I'd just stay here. Weather actually caught up with me on this trip, which I'll talk about more in the next video. It was on this day. In fact, as I record this on April the 7th, 2018, weather is in the forecast for tonight. We are supposed to get 3 to 5 inches of snow. By the way, I have turned into Spearfish Canyon here. Like I said, it's not particularly a remarkable entrance. But anyway, so 3 to 5 inches of snow overnight. Yay. Prom is going on. In fact, this evening I was at the prom taking pictures for the paper and for the yearbook, and hopefully prom gets over before the weather gets interesting and kids can get home safely. But anyway, yeah, that's a reality here, is weather. You do want to look at weather reports and road reports and so on before you go somewhere. And I've realized after getting into trouble a couple of times that, hey, sometimes you're a lot happier if you just stay home on those iffy kinds of days. It's better to miss out on an activity or miss out on just getting away than to be stranded in your car somewhere, or worse, in a ditch, or stranded in another town or something. So that's why I bail on traveling if the weather is interesting, because most of my driving, very little of my driving is for work. Most of the time, if I get in my car, it's for fun because I want to. Like this trip, which, like I said, got cut in half because of weather. This fog that you see was the leading edge of a storm that shut down schools all over that corner of South Dakota the very next day. And I got to drive through the start of the storm. But that'll be in a week or two. I learned something too. You might notice I'm using a different dash cam. I mean, maybe you don't, but a little bit higher quality. You'll perhaps see some footage from the old dash cam later on in another driving video. But Anyway, I'm going to switch into this one. The preview screen has something wrong with it and goes to white quite often, but the video it takes is quite good. Quite a step up. I mean, it's 1080 rather than 720, and I just think the color is a lot better and everything's a lot better. I can't wait to bring this dash cam down this drive when everything's greened up in the spring. I think it'll be worth repeating some of my old trips just to get footage with this new camera. I do have a bit to learn, as it turns out. My first day of this trip ended up being overwritten because, of course, 1080 takes up more space than 720. This whole trip would have fit if I was using 720. With the 1080, I lost the first day. The only footage I have on the dash cam is from the second day. So this is after I went to lead and before I go back to lead, which is another story. But I wandered through several interesting spots that I'm sad I lost the footage, because I drove Main Street Buffalo and Main Street, a couple other towns, Belle Fourche. I think I hit Spearfish too, but I repeated it here because by then I knew that I'd lost all the footage. I had actually recorded in Deadwood, South Dakota. I actually drove up the main street where all the gambling is and then continued on up. So I may have to repeat that, or maybe I just need to go down there and do it on foot. Maybe both. I recorded a pens in use in Lead, South Dakota, where I talked about pens that I travel with, and then I have a little travelogue, some footage up and down Main Street in Lead. I, walked Main Street and then walked over to the high school and then came back via some residential streets. And, I don't feel comfortable really focusing on one person's house or anything, but I took some good footage of, just general showing groups of houses and things. It's a unique town, especially for the Dakotas. It's on a steep mountainside and it is about a mile in altitude, so it's quite high, comparable to Denver, I suppose. It's not in the Rockies; it's in the Black Hills, but still, it's worth seeing, and it's off the beaten path. It's yes, tourists come to Lead, but it's not one of those main attractions for tourists. It's one of those, we're here for a few days, we've seen the main things in the Black Hills, what else could we go look at? So then they go see Lead. A little disappointed, because Lead is a small town and we're off season here. Easter Sunday, I'm staying on Main Street Lead, and I was hoping to be able to eat there, and there was no eating places open that I could walk to. So I ended up walking to a gas station and getting a gross sandwich there. And I do mean gross. And, well, it just is what it is. I mean, I live in a small town, and the only reason I eat well here is because I have it in my house. The eating out options aren't that great here. Although Lead does have good eating out options, they were just closed. Now, yes, I could have driven to Deadwood. It's not that far. I could have driven to Spearfish, which isn't really that far, but my plan had been to experience Lead and what Lead had to offer, and I like to experience a town on foot if I can. But I guess I should have realized after I couldn't find anything open that maybe I was better off getting in the car and driving. Now I know. On a happier note, I have some hiking planned here in Spearfish Canyon for the summer. Both waterfalls, there's Rough Lock Falls and then Spearfish Falls, and Bridal Veil Falls, but that's right on the road. But then there's some interesting places, some of these pull-offs, where you have to walk back to them quite a ways, kind of like the waterfalls or even further. Several of them are quite a hike into them. And I want to do that this summer. I haven't. Some of them I just learned about this year. So, yeah, I think it's time that I do that. I had the idea of doing that over Christmas break because we really hadn't had huge amounts of snow yet. Although, thinking about it, I think they had the snow down here. But that's the difference altitude makes. But anyway, I don't think it would have been huge amounts of fun. So it's probably just as well that it turned out as it did. Exploring Main Street Lead on foot in the cold of winter wouldn't have been that much fun, and probably wouldn't have taken nearly as much footage. And I don't know about you, but in the cold, I get cold in my hands and my feet very quickly, so I turn clumsy, and who knows, I might have ended up breaking the camcorder or something. So yeah, it is what it is. So I'll switch topics now. In some of my earlier videos, I alluded to some issues going on at work. I guess if you really care, you can Google it. It's apparently national news because somebody I know in Seattle, Washington, sent me a link from the Seattle Times about it. But one of the administrators where I work is in some legal trouble now with 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors charged against him. We'll see where that goes, but that's just been a bit of stress going on at work right now. So in other videos I said I'm not in trouble, and I'm not. I had absolutely nothing to do with me. It's just stressful. We're looking for several hard to replace teachers right now, and I'd just be honest. If I was a teacher applying for a job right now and saw that, I would think twice about applying at a school where that was going on. No, and I would know, just as I know now that I'm in the thick of it, that it's not a reflection on the school, it's a reflection on the individual, but it would give me some fear about the future and stability there. So, I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I guess we'll find out. We've had several school board meetings that are quite well attended all of a sudden because suddenly people are quite interested in what the school board's doing, whereas usually they don't care until after the fact. So I guess it's good as a reminder that it is important to pay attention to what your school board's doing, but at the same time, I don't like dealing with it, and I especially don't like dealing with it with my students. I'm pulling off here. This is one of the spots where I filmed some footage for that video for Paul Niman. Nick Niman. Anyway, I don't want to get too in depth with what the charges were against this administrator, but the main thing is that the law was broken, and there are issues that affect his status as an educator. So we'll leave it at that. But that's what I've been dealing with. Oh, and this was where I pulled off for Bridal Veil Falls, too. So I suppose it was the second piece of footage. Don't remember. But anyway, the kids know what happened, and I've had to deal with it in a few classes and answering questions, but at the same time keeping it appropriate for what's gossip, what do you actually know, what can the school board do, what can't it do, and okay, now let's get back to learning science. So that's a tricky balancing act because I have to try really hard to keep my personal views out of it, and believe me, I have personal views. I have very strong personal views on this particular issue. And I'm not going to put them on YouTube either because I believe that would be unprofessional. So we will just leave it there. So anyway, I was thinking about that Nick Niman, that video I did for Nick Niman. He's putting together a whole bunch of YouTube creators and just their thoughts on what does it mean to be a creator. And it gave me a good chance to reflect and I have to realize that I first started doing this back in 2007. I had some video way back then. I did, one of the things, I was up in New York State, did a video footage of Watkins Glen. Now, unfortunately, when I did the video footage, it was, shaky cam for one thing. It was one of my it was when I'd first gotten a digital camera, so I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But I also used some copyrighted music to accompany it as I narrated. I got away with it back then. I mean, that was kind of a common thing on YouTube back then. Nobody was really cracking down on it yet. And I did that in a few videos. So later on, I ended up taking all those videos down. And that was before I realized that you could download videos from YouTube, your own videos, of course. And it was before I realized that you could edit out the sound and replace it with something else. Wouldn't have been perfect. It would have lost all the background sound of the waterfalls and so on in Watkins Glen, but at least I'd still have the footage. So I am kind of sad that all of that is gone now, but it is what it is, and I've learned a lot since then. I've gotten better at the travelogues. Back then, I will say I was decent at editing, especially because back then YouTube had a big limit on how long your videos could be. I am past that limit now. Back then, I want to say it was like 8 minutes or something. It was short. When YouTube first started, it was the Wild Wild West, and they had, I don't know if they had a limit when they first started, but then they cut it back because people would put on TV shows and things. I've never gone that far, but I did have a bit to learn. And I did some other videos that I wish I still had. I did a video tour of the Rame High School after it closed. I used theme songs from a whole bunch of different TV shows about schools as the background music to that. And again, copyrighted music. I wish I had the footage still. I back then didn't have backup hard drives. Now I do, so I haven't been backing up my videos onto them, but I've been backing up some of the raw footage, especially for the travel videos. But I feel like I need to start. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with YouTube. So here's an interesting spot. This used to be a hydroelectric power plant run by the Homestake Gold Mine. And it doesn't function anymore. But it was kind of neat. After I took my footage down there, somebody remarked on the security, so I rewatched that part, and I'm like, holy cow, they're right. Because they were talking about spikes on the fences, and yeah, there are spikes on the tops of the fence. So I didn't even realize it, and I was there. It's interesting what you see when other people point things out that you just don't notice by yourself. And that's been kind of one of the fun things about this. Oh, I just used a verbal filler. I'm trying so hard to get away from those. But it is one of the fun things about doing videos like this, where you just get to hear or get to see things through other people's eyes. Or see things a second time. When I am driving, I don't notice nearly as much as I do watching the video footage. And I know this isn't quite the view I would get as a person driving, but it is very interesting to see this way. This past fall, my parents came out here to visit, and we went down Spearfish Canyon. We hiked down to Spearfish Falls, and my father offered to drive. So I got to ride as a passenger down this canyon. What a neat experience. I don't usually get to do that. Now, my parents did that. I think they think I'm just dirt poor. At least that's how they act. I'm not, but they act that way. I feel like they thought I was at the thin edge of my money. I took them the next day up to drawing a blank. The bridge, the Fairview Lift Bridge, and Cartwright Tunnel. So that was a neat experience for him. My mother got kind of mad at me when she realized just how far away it was. But seriously, if you live in southwestern North Dakota, do you feel like I just got some footage out of order? I sure do. Sorry, that really distracted me. Something's out of order there. Anyway, so she was a little frustrated with me because it was so far up there. But, you know, when you live in southwestern North Dakota, nothing is close. I'm going to stop this and investigate what just happened there. Okay, it looks like I only missed a few seconds, but... I know I could go back and edit it, but let's just move on. It's late at night, and I want to get this thing done. If you've wondered why I haven't been doing driving videos, it's the amount of time I've been putting in for school stuff, and to do a driving video. This one's fairly straightforward because I just did an outline. Things I wanted to bring up in the video, and then just let her rip. But a lot of my driving videos involve a lot of research and a lot of citations, a lot of footnotes, and so on. And just finding the time to put it all together just is a real pain. Yes, I'm still doing Science Olympiad, but we're through the most time-consuming part. We will compete in Fargo on April 21st. We'll leave here the 20th. I'm looking at doing a different kind of pens and use because obviously I won't be around. I guess I can film it early in the week, but last year when I was in Fargo, I took some footage on the North Dakota State University campus. It's just been sitting. I haven't done anything with it yet. So I feel like I should put it together and do something with it. So maybe that would be an appropriate day. I don't know. Or, okay, we've been here before, haven't we? I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just tired imagining things. Anyway, I want to put that NDSU footage together and do something with it. Maybe it'd be a good time to talk about the value of college. NDSU is a lot bigger college than I went to, but there's a lot to be said for the college experience. And mine was hardly typical. But I am deviating quite strongly from my outline right now. So some of what's on my outline, I don't think I have enough time left to get the whole outline in. But some of what's on my outline is just some... Oh, gotta stop. I've got some on the stove I've got to take care of. So I have a thing I'm going to tomorrow where I have to bring a salad, so I'm making the ingredients tonight. I made split peas, and now I'm making brown rice. The way I make brown rice is you boil it for 30 minutes, and then you drain it for about 10 seconds. Then you put the brown rice back in the pot you boiled it in and cover it, and let it steam in its own water for another 20 minutes or so. It makes the grains a little more separated and eliminates some of the issues you have with brown rice because of the combination of the grain and the bran. And so it's steaming right now. And if it steams for more than 20 minutes, it won't hurt anything, so we'll just go on here. But anyway, I was talking before all this stuff, before that beeper went off, I was talking about some of the things that are on my outline. So, you know, videos that are upcoming. So, last fall, in, I want to say September, I took a trip to Mandan, North Dakota. I went to Mandan by way of the interstate. Did some shopping while I was there. I bought shoes over in Bismarck because Mandan and Bismarck are North Dakota's twin cities. Yes, Minnesota's not the only state that has twin cities. We have Mandan and Bismarck that are separated by a river. I can't remember if St. Paul, Minneapolis are separated by... Nope, they're not. The river separates Minnesota from Wisconsin, doesn't it? Okay, sorry. Ramble there. This is why I shouldn't film late at night. Stick to the outline, dude. Anyway, so I did film that with the dash cam, but interstate driving is just boring. But here's what's interesting. As my route home, I took Old Highway 10, which crosses the interstate a few times. But what's interesting about Highway 10 is that was how you used to get from Mandan/Bismarck to Dickinson, North Dakota, back in the days before there was an interstate. And it goes through all the cool small towns. So I followed that route. Part of it is still not paved, and when I think about back when the interstate was built, I would guess even more of it was not paved. So that must have been a real revelation to people wanting to travel the state of North Dakota when the interstate opened. So I toured it, and I want to share that footage, even though it's with the old dash cam. I think it's worth sharing. So I need to put some topics to it, and I have a list of topics for driving videos. I haven't done the research of the outlines yet, but I do have the topics. So who knows? It's going to be a couple of weeks before I can get out of town again. I was hoping today I could, but today it was actually, I never get sick, but today I felt horrible. I've eaten like one meal today, and it wasn't much of a meal, so that's why I didn't go anywhere today. I was thinking of Dickinson for the morning and then be back in time for prom, but that didn't happen. So maybe that's another reason I'm mixing the salad tomorrow. I'm just doing the cooking part today, and hopefully it sterilizes anything that I have. I stayed at this place 2 years ago and did video footage, and same thing, got caught in the snow. I can't remember exactly what time of the year it was. I know it was around Easter, but I feel like I did Good Friday and then the Saturday. Don't remember for sure. I almost stayed here again, Spearfish Canyon Lodge, but I decided to do something different, stay and lead, because then I could go and explore the town, especially since I was going down on an Easter Sunday. I could go down early enough to actually spend my afternoon exploring the town. And here, when there's snow out, there's not much to explore. You end up sticking with your room, which I did a lot less of when I stayed in lead. So, horse apiece. I wouldn't mind staying here again, though. It was kind of cool. You could hear the stream running and everything. And actually, come to think of it, when I stayed here, Omas Ogiva, I remember specifically using Omas Ogiva when I stayed in that motel room, but I don't remember if it's when I got mine or if it's when a viewer loaned me hers to review. Either way, this place is forever associated with the Omas Ogiva in my memory, so that's kind of weird, but I suppose that's because I'm a fountain pen reviewer, and that's just what happens when you're a fountain pen reviewer, right? So, anyway, so that old Highway 10, I want to tour that just because it's so cool, and it's okay. The scenery isn't amazing, but you're getting a blast from the past. And you're getting a view of how travel was before the interstate, and you get a tour of several interesting small towns, some of which, Glen Ellen, were under construction and very hard to get around. So I just need to take the time to sit down and put it together. I'm going to finish this little voyage first. Not today, but yeah, I like to have them all the trips together. What I need to do is start categorizing some of these trips into playlists. Right now I have all the driving videos together as a playlist. I have all the fountain pen reviews together as a playlist. I have all the pens in use together as a playlist. Admittedly, pens in use is kind of topical, and I don't know if it's one that people go back and rewatch. The reviews are something people will go back and they'll see value in as they look for a pen. I mean, I do the same with other reviewers. Watch Stephen Brown's 6-year-old review of some pen. I mean, I do that. But yeah, I want to get them organized into playlists. Make it easier for people who are interested in a whole bunch of topical things. So if you have some suggestions for topics for playlists for my fountain pen reviews, that would be awesome. I My driving videos, a lot of them are arranged naturally into topics, whether it is a particular trip or whatever, or a particular topic. I don't know. I have some more stuff. I could continue my rural America topic. I had somebody very offended over my one of my videos on rural America just recently that I didn't bother responding to. They took it far beyond anything I said in the video and started using stereotypes rather than things I'd actually said. So I was like, yeah, not gonna bother. And that's another thing, with comments. I know some reviewers have had trouble with negative comments, and I just don't. I don't. Yes, there are people who make negative comments. Yes, if you look, there are a handful of people I have had to ban. I don't get them very often. It's nice. It gives me a very Pollyanna-ish view of YouTube. I know they're there because I see them on other channels. If you want to get depressed about human nature, go scrolling through the comments section on almost any video or article. But I have been lucky so far. And that's good. I hope it continues. I enjoy the interaction I have with my viewers. And it's part of what keeps bringing me back. I know this is my least popular feature, these driving videos, but at the same time, people seem to enjoy them. I have a limited selection who enjoy them, but they exist, so I do these for those people. I've thought about splitting the channel up into separate fountain pen and driving video stuff, but there's so much overlap between the two that I feel like I would be sorry if I did that. So I'm going to just continue with it all on the same channel. Okay, yeah. Running out of time here. So I better hit a couple of the other things that are on my outline. So some of the things you can look forward to, definitely more fountain pens. Actually, tomorrow, it's going to be today, but like I said, I was so sick today. I would have looked like hell on video. That's why you're getting a driving video where I'm not on camera. I am going to be recording video footage of the Platinum 3776. Now, I have reviewed the Platinum 3776. What I'm going to do this time is I have every single Platinum 3776 I own, and I'm going to do a video comparison of the various nib sizes. And then, everybody but the broad is going to get capped and put away. And then once per month, I'm going to pull one out and use it. Now, I'll tell you why. I've just decided we're going to test the slip and seal mechanism. Now, my broad nib pen, because I said I'm not doing that with that one, is the celluloid. It's the koi, for those of you who've been asking where it is. It does not have the slip and seal mechanism, so I'm not going to have that one sitting forever without being used, because I know what will happen. Ink will dry up. So that means once per month for the next 6 months, because I have 7 pens of that model, I'm going to pull a pen out and record more footage for the video. So 6 or 7 months from now, you can finally expect to see that video. Also very soon, I hope to record a Vintage Flex video. If you have any suggestions over pens that you've seen on my channel that might be good examples of Vintage Flex, please let me know in the comments. I have some Schaefer videos I will be recording, regular old pen reviews. I have a couple other pens floating around that I've done enough writing with that I feel like I'm ready to review them. I know both I always do low-cost pens, vintage pens, and some high-end pens. This year, my big expensive pen was an Aurora 88. There is actually going to be another big expensive pen about that same time next year. I will spare you what it is for now, but those of you who listen to driving videos are getting a super extra several month earlier preview. It will show up when it shows up. But I'm thinking around Christmas / New Year's time next year is when it will show up on the channel. Which may tell you what the pen is. I'm also looking at, well, I want to do some more of the Kyoiro inks. I have not reviewed them yet. I'm feeling like I should review my Aurora inks. I think I should do some more ink reviews and some more notebook reviews. I have a Code and Quill notebook I feel like I should review. I really like these Code Surplus notebooks. I want to review them. So expect more of that. And some traveling. We're going to get into the Black Hills again. I want to do a Mount Rushmore video. I know everybody under the sun has been to Mount Rushmore, but it's a big tourist hotspot, but I feel like that's something I should visit for this channel. I want to do more driving videos where I explore topics and have this kind of thing going on. I also want to do some more travelogues where I visit a specific place, heavily edit the footage, and just talk about the place. I did one on Haley, North Dakota. I want to do, several spots in the Black Hills. I want to hit a few places that are local. A viewer sent me a book on ghost towns of the West. I'd like to do some videos on various ghost towns or small towns or even big towns of North Dakota, South Dakota, heck, let's hit Wyoming and Montana too. They're all right here. When you're in southwestern North Dakota, everything's close. I'd like to get you to Devil's Tower. I'm really cruising through the outline now. I'd like to get you to Devil's Tower and Hewlett, Wyoming, Alzada, Wyoming, which is interesting. And I didn't write the name down, but there's Aladdin. That was it. I'm going by memory here. But Aladdin's Coal Tipple. I want to take you there. I would like to repeat that Ekalaka / Medicine Rocks trip in the summer, especially some of the Cave Hill stuff. Maybe walk around Camp Crook. Maybe take the trip the other direction, actually. So some travel there. I have a big selection of vintage pens and new pens I'd like to review. So just a lot of things I can do on this channel. And yes, I know I'm out of Spearfish Canyon and I should be stopping here, but I'm just going to keep babbling for a minute. I have 4 minutes of footage to work with, and I might actually get through my outline. I would like to do some more note-taking videos. I did a series of note-taking videos and then stopped. Well, there's some other stuff I'd like to cover, like a program called Evernote. That guy was behind me. I don't know when he got behind me. He surprised me when he passed me there. But I want to do some more note-taking videos, like about some software options, like Evernote. Maybe talk about some note-taking stuff on the iPad. OneNote is another one. It's not a topic I can do videos on all the time, but I do feel like it's worthwhile. Now, can you believe how sunny it is here after how cloudy and foggy it was up the canyon? And if you knew what is coming for me with this trip, you'd be like, what? So, anyway, that's coming. And, I don't know, I think I'm starting to run dry on topics. So, I thank you for watching. Next week, we'll drive Leeds Main Street. I want to do a more researched and thorough video on lead this summer. I want to visit the Homestake mine as part of it, and the tours don't start till the end of April. So, for now, the pens in use will just have to serve as your taste of lead, not of lead, of lead, until I can get down there and get the more thorough tour of everything. And I'll be hitting some other spots. Hill City, the train in Hill City. I want to go back to Needles Highway and the Iron Mountain Highway. Oh, the rice is done. And, just a lot of plans moving forward. And we'll see how much I get to. But the nice thing with teaching is I have my summers off. Oh! And this summer, I am taking a class for a week in Fargo. It's not quite working in Fargo, but taking a class for a week. And I hope to reserve my motel room where I'm staying while I take this class for one extra night, so I can really explore Fargo and surrounding areas, including Castleton, North Dakota, where the school's mascot is the Squirrels. No joke. So look forward to that. And one fun thing with Fargo is there are several businesses in Fargo that actually sell fountain pens. So I may talk to the owners, if I can manage it, and see if I can just take a little footage inside their store and just do a little video on where you can buy fountain pens in Fargo, North Dakota. And who knows, I may take the scenic route home. I've got a couple scenic routes I can take. One optional scenic route is through South Dakota. I would love to get down to Sioux Falls again. But at the same time, there's some spots in North Dakota I'd like to get to. So, not sure which one I'm going to do. So I have a few months to decide on that. But anyway, that might be an interesting... Hey, remember how sunny it was just a few minutes ago? But that might be an interesting thing to do as well. So, yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to. At least for me. And next week, I hope to be back with another driving video. I may even record the narration tomorrow. I will leave it up in the air because I'm not sure which topic I want to hit next week, but I'm fairly certain it's going to be a standalone. And it's just good to have a little more free time now. And I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.